Well, hello to everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Tom Vincent. I work as a data analyst with Mountain Pacific Quality Health Foundation. I am also Mountain Pacific's NHSN system administrator. Today, I'd just like to talk briefly about the enrollment process for the COVID-19 module in NHSN. I know there's been a lot of angst and frustration with that. I don't want to talk very long, though. I want to allow you folks enough time to ask questions of us so that hopefully we can clear some things up for you as you move forward with your uploading of the data. First of all, I guess I'm going to share my screen here and find the right document. I think this is the one. Whoops, that's not it. I apologize, folks. I don't do a lot of presenting, as you can tell. Okay, where am I at? I'm sorry, Maggie. Can you help me?
We can see your I'm sorry. We can see
okay,
your
I think,
Teams.
Okay. How's this? Is this sharing? How do I unshare?
Probably a different screen, Tom, because we only see your Microsoft Teams.
I can't get into it. How do I do that? I'm not having any luck. I'm sorry.
New screen share. Try a new screen share.
Where do I do that? Oh, there we go. I'm sorry. Okay, let's try this one. Okay, so I apologize for that. I'm going to go into this, the document for enrollment, and let's just briefly go over this. I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, have seen this before. These are the procedures to only get enrolled into NHSN for just the COVID-19 module. This will not give you access to all of NHSN. If you are being told that you need to submit notarized documents, etc., like that, then something is amiss, and NHSN will have to help you figure that out. The other thing I want to stress before I get going too is that if your facility is currently already enrolled in NHSN, please do not re-enroll. That is not necessary, and they recommend that you do not do that. Okay, that being said, your facility needs to select somebody to become their group administrator. This is the person that will have access to NHSN and be able to upload the data and create users and do some other things like that. Once that is done, you can start with step one of the enrollment process, which is to make sure that your computer is set up to properly to access NHSN, that you have the most recent web browsers, etc. I would just check with your IT department to verify some of these things if you're in doubt. The other step to that is that please make sure that your email is set, that it will not block emails from nhsn@cdc.gov or SAMS no reply. It's very important that they are able to send you some emails. Having that all set up, we can start with the next step, the second step of the enrollment process, which is to enroll your facility in NHSN. This is basically saying to NHSN that we want access, we want to be able to upload data into NHSN. Just a couple notes as you're filling out this form. It will ask you for what type of facility you are, whether you're a long-term care or a SNF. Please select the description that has the COVID-19 in the description. And at the bottom, it's asking you to select the date that you are enrolling, unless you completed training previous to that day. If you completed training for the NHSN module previous to that day, put that date in here. After you have filled out the form and submitted it to NHSN, you should receive 2 emails. One of these emails will come from nhsn.gov. It's kind of a welcome to NHSN. The other will come from SAMS, the Security Administration. These are the folks that will set you up with your username. They'll do the quick background check on you and give you access to the NHSN database. I've heard some people talk that they're not receiving both emails. Please note that the SAMS email may take 2 calendar days to arrive. I would venture to say, based on some of the feedback I'm getting, that they're a little backed up, might take more than 2 calendar days. If that's the case, though, please feel free to contact SAMS. They do have a direct phone number. You can talk to a real live person. I've used it a couple times. They usually respond pretty quickly, and or send them an email at samshelp@cdc.gov. Please put something like urgent COVID-19 help or something along those lines to maybe make them alert to your email a little faster. When you do finally get the SAMS email, at the bottom, it's going to have your username and a temporary password and a link so that you can complete step 3 of the process, which is registering with SAMS. So when you click on the links to the SAMS in the invitation to register, pardon me, you will be brought to the credentials screen. Now you'll see from the picture there will be 2 places to put your credentials. As the big red X says, ignore the one that requires the card, the grid card. That's a different level of security, and it will not recognize your credentials. So use the one that just requires your username and your password. This will bring up a 2-page form that you'll need to fill out. The questions are fairly basic. Just a couple of notes. Please use your personal home address, not your work address, your personal home address. They're doing the security check on you personally. They want to be able to make sure that you are who you say you are. And also at the bottom, you will be required to create a password and do some security questions. Take it from me, as a guy who walks into the kitchen and stands there for 5 minutes trying to remember why I did it, write down these answers and questions and put them someplace secure. If you have login issues such as forgotten passwords, etc., this will save you quite a bit of time and headache if you have these handy. So now you've completed the SAMS registration. They said that you're a pretty good person and we're going to let you into NHSN. You can actually enroll your facility now. You will start by going to the sams.cdc.gov. Again, this is the credentials page right here. Again, put in your username. This time, obviously, use the password that you created. You'll come to a page with 2 links on it, LTC reporting and enrollment. Obviously, right now, we're choosing the enrollment. You want to enroll a facility. And over here, there's a little box that some people recommend that you print the form, fill it out, and then go back and put it in electronically. They suggest this so that you have the data ready to put into the form. If you accidentally click a button and are kicked off the entry page, when you come back, you've got your data ready to re-enter it. Plus, you just have a backup copy should you need to remember what you entered at a later date. This is a recommendation from them. So the 2 pages, they're pretty basic information, the facility name and address, etc. It'll ask for your CCN number. That's your CMS certified number. You go on to page 2. Page 2 again is going to ask what type of facility you are enrolling. Again, please use the description that has the COVID-19 in that description. And the other biggie here is to use the same email address that you used on your SAMS registration. So if you use your work email address there, use it here as well. After you've completed this form, you can sit back, cross your fingers, think happy thoughts that you got everything in there, and click submit. And you just have one more step in the enrollment process, and that's to accept the agreement to participate and consent. You should receive a message from NHSN, and it will give you instructions on how to accept this agreement to participate and consent. It will also show you that it has given you a NHSN org ID. This is your provider number, for lack of a better phrase, your provider number within NHSN. It doesn't take the place of your CCN. It's just how it's just the number that they use to identify your facility in the database. So a couple of things that I learned over the weekend and talking with some people that were having some issues. Again, the SAM seems to be backlogged a little bit. I know there's some frustration with that. And again, I would ask you to reach out to SAMS. NHSN, unfortunately, does not provide a phone number. They only have their email address, as some of you have discovered, and it takes a while to get back to you. Rest assured, even when we're not going through things like this, NHSN can take a few days to get back to you. There's no surprise there. The other thing that I would recommend is that you, as the administrator for your facility, that you go in and add a couple people as users who can also help with the data. These are kind of like having a backup. They don't have the same access maybe as you do, but you can add users. I wasn't sure if you could do that with the COVID-19, but I was advised by a person who's been at this a lot longer than I have that evidently you can. So that would be my other suggestion, is add a backup person that can help with that data entry if needed. So looking at the time, I want to give as much time for questions as I can. That's just a brief overview of the enrollment step. Let me see if I can also show this document, by the way, that I just went over with, comes from the cdc.gov website. And if you just go into the long-term care COVID-19, you will get to the document that I just went over. This is also a number of resources. Is there a way hopefully there's a way we can distribute this if you think this would be helpful to you. These are a number of resources and checklists and other things in the COVID ID process that might be useful to you. And I was going to go, and I think that's all I had. So I'll just leave it for more time for questions now, and then we'll meet next week to go over a little bit more with the data entry piece to hopefully assist you folks.
Hey, Tom, this is Marcy. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
There is a question in chat. I don't know if you can see the chat. Did you want me to go ahead and read that to you?
You better. You know, the way my luck's going today, you better just, would you please read it?
Sure. There is the little chat ellipsis there in the bottom tray. You can pull it up like that. But this is from Liz, and she said she sent an email to SAMS and spoke with someone on the phone and was told this second email was generated by NHSN and SAMS is not able to assist. So maybe not just a question, but a point clarification.
Okay, so there's one step where you should get an email from both NHSN and SAMS, and then at the very end you should receive a message from just NHSN. So has this person, have you already registered with SAMS, I guess would be my question. If you have registered with SAMS, then yes, the next email you receive should be from NHSN, and that should be where you accept the, at the very end, where you accept the agreement to use.
And then I think that's Lee's up in Alaska saying that her guess is the hang up is with NHSN and heard that they are way behind.
Yes, and I've heard that more than once. I logged on this weekend and saw, I was just going to kind of go over some things and saw a big email string, and people were really having issues with that. Unfortunately, again, even when we're not doing something special like COVID-19 and getting everybody registered, NHSN has never, for me, been real speedy at getting back to you. And I think it is that they're just very busy. And I think SAMS is even more overwhelmed than they predicted too.
And then there is a question, any word on enforcement and potential delay on enforcement due to the difficulties with the access? Because they do say that facilities should start reporting, I believe, starting the 17th, and then they will be sent a letter if they're not reporting by the 24th. So there are penalties associated with non-compliance, but has anybody heard if that enforcement's going to be delayed?
I have reached out to a couple people that are a little more along as far as familiarity with this, and I haven't heard anything concrete yet. I have heard that if you can show that if you're in the process of trying to get things taken care of, that perhaps they would suspend the penalty. But I have not heard for sure. I've done some checking with some of my colleagues, and nobody's heard for sure on that yet. But I'm going to take a note and I will follow up on that.
Okay, and then
if more information,
oh, sorry, Tom.
Yeah, if more information comes in, I will forward that on.
And Lisa makes a good point by saying, to keep all, Liz, to keep all your documentation, this applies to anyone who's having experienced some delays, that it is frustrating. Penalties begin 5/24, and the CMS has changed that recently. So yeah, we'd appreciate it, Tom, if you hear anything or find anything out.
Yeah, but I will keep digging on that, and I will forward that on as soon as I hear something.
Okay, and then the next question, I have a question related to the data entry. When inputting the information weekly, if tests have been done during the week and are negative at the time we enter the information, are we to include them under the suspected data entry?
My understanding with the data entry, if you're entering data weekly, is that anything that up until the point where you have made your data collection and your data entry. So let's say you're doing it every Monday morning at 8 a.m. Up to that point, you enter that data right up to that point. Anything after that goes on the next data entry. Is that what you're asking? So if something comes in after you've entered, or they just don't want you going back and entering it duplicate on a case. Oh, it doesn't. Okay.
Hey, Tom.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Pam Webb. You know, there's a long-term care facility component. It's got the definitions for each.
Oh, yes,
field.
I got that.
And I'm just looking at, it says a suspected resident with new suspected COVID-19 is defined as, if this is the first time suspected COVID-19 counts for residents are being entered in NHSN COVID-19 module, enter the number of residents who have been or are newly managed as though they have COVID-19, but do not have a laboratory positive test result this week.
Thank you, Pam.
So what I would encourage everybody to do is get that. It's I'm on the website, and there's under the section data collection form and instructions for each topic. So resident impact and facility capacity. You can print the form so you know what the form looks like, but the table of instructions is what will give you the definitions for what you're supposed to be entering. So I would refer folks to there. Sorry, I jumped in. I just was looking at that one to share.
No, I appreciate the input, and I'll get my web browser up here and see if I can get to that for you. Let's see.
So this is Lisa. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I asked that question. So the way I'm trying to ask is, if I'm collecting my data during the week and I had somebody who tested and it came back negative, and it came back negative on Sunday evening, and I'm inputting my data Monday morning, would I count that in that count?
I'm looking.
So
I'm trying to find
it. So
yeah,
Lisa,
we're looking it up. Sorry.
I'm sorry, Tom. What's the which field are you referring to?
I'm referring to suspected residents with new suspected COVID-19. So if you're collecting your data during the week, you're only inputting once a week, and during that week you did testing for because they were symptomatic. So the doctor orders the test, you do the test, and the test comes back and it's negative, and you're doing your entry Monday morning, you're sitting there with a negative test. Would that still be counted under suspected, even though you already received that negative?
Well, they were testing because they were treating it as if it was a suspected case.
Right.
I think
is that the...
Hey, this is Anna in Alaska. I work at the section of epidemiology here. And it would be my reading of the guidance that you would count those people as suspects.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I would refer you, I'm basing that on the notes section of the suspected COVID-19 part of the tables on pages 2 and 3 of the instructions for this. And you'll see that second note there is where it says suspected is defined, yada, yada. It may also include staff and personnel, or sorry, that's the wrong one, but it's the one, it may include those with negative test results, but who have signs and symptoms of COVID-19. This is, I would just have to have it open to the staff section.
Yep.
So I just watched a whole webinar on this Saturday. So I know I put my numbers in wrong on Friday, and I can go in there and edit that, can't I?
I think you should be able to.
Okay. And then I guess my only other question is, do we need to go back to May? And if we do, like I'm doing my entries on Friday, did I do an entry on May 8th? And then I did one on the 7th, just on Friday. So would I put entry in there for May 8th to cover the 1st through the 8th?
Are you talking about your correction or your?
No, I'm just talking about, so when I did the 17th, I did it back 1 week. Do I need to go back in and go to the 8th and go back 1 week? So our count actually starts from May 1st.
Yes, I think your data entry has to start from May 1st, doesn't it? But I think your numbers start from May 1st, but your data entry can be done later. Is that right, Pam? That's the way I was reading it. Yes, data entry must start from May 1st.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lori.
I see that now.
Okay, I'll talk to you later.
Okay, thank you.
So suspected, if it's the first time that you're entering data, but you don't have a laboratory positive COVID-19 test, you would enter that number. If it's not the first time that the counts for the residents are being entered, enter the number of residents who have been or are newly managed as though they have COVID-19, but do not have a laboratory positive test since the last date that suspected COVID counts were entered. So I don't think you have to go back and keep changing numbers. Because there's an instruction for if it's the first time you're entering that data or if it isn't the first time. It's a little confusing.
I think that might be, so if you put data in like on the 8th and then came in Monday and did it again and you still didn't have those results, you wouldn't count that in your suspected count again.
Yeah.
And there's just a note in chat from Lori saying if it's the first time that you started from the 8th, she would recommend going back and correct it to include the data from the 1st.
Right.
you can't get in trouble for entering the data as you see it and believe it to be true. You could get in trouble if you're gaming the system to make it look good. So I think as long as you're doing the best job that you can, I think you'll be fine. That's the way I'd explain it if it was me.
I'm sorry, Tom, there's no more questions in chat, and we are at the half-hour mark. I know we wanted to keep these to a half hour. So did you have any thoughts, or we will go ahead and meet again next Monday? And if folks have questions in the meantime, you're welcome to just contact your state QIO rep or Tom Vincent at Mount Pacific.